Chapter 1. Traits to Understand. Preamble. What follows are a list of traits you must understand in order to have any hope of comprehending the content within the rest of this publication. If you are well educated in matters of strategy and psychology, give this essay a skip. You already know it. Worldly wealth. Worldly wealth is what every man wants. Money, power, status. It's what billionaires have plenty of, and the homeless have none of. Intelligences. Firstly, IQ, or cognitive ability. IQ is nothing more than cognitive processing power. It measures a person's ability to comprehend complexity. People with high IQs are commonly referred to as smart. They are capable of analyzing complex information fast and accurately, doing advanced mathematics, have good memories, and so on. People with low IQs are commonly referred to as dumb. Their reading comprehension is below average, and their ability to understand complex information is poor. IQ is a ruthlessly good predictor of long-term life success, and indeed, it is the single best predictor of income. If there is one advantage you could give a child for succeeding at life, it would be this: give them a high IQ. An individual's IQ is partially determined by both genetics and early childhood environment. Tragically, IQ is not changeable once a person has reached adulthood. If you have low IQ, there is nothing that can be done to help you, or at least nothing that has yet been discovered. Men and women have equal IQs on average. However, male IQ is more variable than female IQ. What this means is that most geniuses are men, and most idiots are also men. The next intelligence is realism. And realism is simply being in touch with reality, choosing to believe ugly truths rather than happy lies. Those with high realism prioritize facts over feelings and fill their mind with what they perceive to be true, even if it offends their sensibilities. Those with low realism prioritize feelings over facts and will reject something they subconsciously realize is true if it offends their sensibilities. If a person rejects the truth where there is plenty of evidence to support that the thing is true, they probably aren't doing this due to a lack of IQ points. Usually, it's down to a lack of realism. You might think that realism is simply an extension of IQ, but you would be wrong. To have a high IQ is to have immense processing power. To have high realism is to be in touch with reality. There are many high IQ people who are hopelessly out of touch with reality. Some say things like, "IQ isn't real," and "gender is just a social construct." A person with a high IQ and high realism has a mind with immense processing power, and will use that cognitive horsepower to figure out what the truth is. A person with a high IQ but low realism has a mind with immense processing power, and they will use their cognitive horsepower to manufacture realizations for lies that appeal to their sensibilities, rather than for the sake of finding the truth. Historical and contemporary examples of people with high IQs but low realism are endless. There are high IQ university professors who honestly believe that there are no behavioral or psychological differences between men and women driven by biology and genetics. There are high IQ intellectuals who think communism is a viable economic system. Men average higher on realism than women, and amongst the people with the best realism, almost all of them are men. It has been noticed by many that autistic men are often exceptionally good at logical reasoning. Autists usually don't have exceptionally high IQs. What they do have is exceptionally high realism. To be clear, men in general should not be given too much credit. Most men, like almost all women, are low realism, A minority of men are high realism. They are disproportionately autistic. The next of the intelligences is cunning. Cunning is often euphemistically referred to as people skills or social skills. Within this publication, it will sometimes be referred to as Machiavellianism or Machiavellian intelligence. To be high cunning is to have the ability to charm people, make them like and trust you, persuade people, lie convincingly, read body language and vocal tonality accurately, and analyze social situations accurately. To be low cunning is to be bad at charming people or socially awkward, inept in matters of persuasion, incapable of lying convincingly, and incapable of reading body language or vocal tonality accurately. Cunning is distinct from IQ, and the correlation between them seems to be zero. There are many men with sky-high IQs who are hopelessly socially awkward. They don't lack intelligence, they lack cunning. The average woman is more cunning than the average man, yet at the same time cunning seems to have far greater variance amongst men than among women. Among the most cunning people on the planet, think Robert Greene and Vladimir Putin, almost all of them are men. The least cunning people are autists, who are also mostly men. Moving on to the Big Five personality traits. The Big Five model is a set of heuristics for understanding a person's psychological profile. While they are useful, there are inevitably aspects of a person's mind that can't be boiled down and encapsulated within the quantitative model of the Big Five. If a person is immensely important to your life, say a potential spouse, then you will need to dig far deeper into their psychological makeup than simply ranking them on each of the Big Five traits. However, if a person is of only moderate importance to your life, say a subordinate employee, then estimating how they rank on each of the Big Five traits is enough. No need to dig any deeper into their psychological makeup than that. Let's get into the first personality trait: extraversion. Extraversion measures the degree to which a person experiences enthusiasm or positive emotion, particularly from engaging in social interactions. Those who rank high on extraversion, extroverts, find social interactions to be energizing. Those who rank low on extraversion, introverts, find social interactions to be exhausting. Extroverts tend to smile and laugh more often, and with greater intensity than introverts. Whether a person is extroverted or introverted, and to what degree, is not determined by their attitude or any conscious choice, so much as it is by their neurochemistry. Extraversion seems to be driven by dopaminergic function. Those with high levels of dopamine tend to be extroverted, while those with low levels of dopamine tend to be introverted. Many stimulants that enhance dopaminergic function within the brain also increase extraversion, at least temporarily. Caffeine is a notable example. Within America, extraversion is viewed as good, and introversion is viewed as bad, or at least boring. In truth, both extremes boost performance in different domains. Extroverts tend to be better at activities that require charming people or being charismatic. Think sales. Introverts are better at delaying gratification, since they have less dopamine driving them to seize any perceived reward that appears, and are better at doing cognitively difficult work for long periods alone in silence. This is advantageous in fields such as engineering or writing. The reason extroverts enjoy social interactions more than introverts is not because they desire intimate relationships or love. That's driven by agreeableness. It's because they enjoy the stimulation that comes from social interaction. In the same spirit, extroverts find bright lights and loud music to be enjoyable, while introverts find them to be annoying, or even painful. In life, you have two choices: be an ignorant fool or a brilliant strategist. Buy the audiobook now. To learn how to be the latter, scroll down to find the link in the description. Click on the link. Purchase it now. Listen to the entire audiobook from start to finish. Then, watch your life transform.